Trey K here, and from PRX and West Virginia Public Broadcasting, this is Us and Them, the show that tells the stories about the things that divide us and sometimes the things that unite us. A few weeks back, a friend reached out to me on social media. He told me about his friend Eva, who is a traveling nurse and was looking to go to New York City to help hospitals with COVID patients. My friend knew that I'd lived in New York City off and on for more than 35 years and wanted to know if I knew anywhere where Eva could stay. So I ran up a bat signal on social media, asking my friends in New York if anyone could help one of my fellow West Virginians. The response was overwhelming. My friends in New York, and even people I didn't know, were touched that someone from West Virginia would bravely travel to help them fight COVID-19. Not long after my post, Eva had a place. A couple named Sheila and Manny in Manhattan graciously offered their rental apartment at no charge. Just a token of thanks for coming to help New Yorkers fight this pandemic. This whole situation struck me. Eva, a nurse and a mother of 5 from rural Appalachia, heads to help the folks in the big city. It just felt like an us and them moment to me.
I am Eva Crockett, and I'm an ICU RN.
And where are you from?
West Virginia. I live in Hurricane, about 15 minutes on the outside of Charleston.
And had you ever been to New York before?
Never.
Can you paint a picture of what it was that you thought of New Yorkers prior to this?
All I know is what I've seen on television, honestly. So, I expected, I hate to say that, but, they're not painted very well on television, kind of rude and bossy and pushy.
So why did you choose to go to New York?
Being a traveler, my company calls me when there's a need, wherever there's a need. As traveling nurses, we go where we're needed, when we're needed there. And that's, I got the call and I didn't hesitate.
You were here in West Virginia and you were hearing about all the things that were going on there. I mean, why did you choose to kind of go into the fire?
My kids always used to tease, even before I became a nurse. I couldn't pass a car accident and not get out of my car and help. Of course, since becoming a nurse, I've stopped at several car accidents and helped. Even with animals, I'll stop, and I stopped traffic on I-64 back home in West Virginia to help a deer that got hit but was clearly still alive stand up and get off the road. I'm a mother of 5. For the love of God, taking care of other people who need my help, that's what I do. Are you hungry? Have you eaten today? Have I eaten today? Absolutely not. But are you hungry?
What does your family think about that?
My daughter, the 21-year-old, her general, and my 17-year-old were both worried. The 21-year-old messages me every day to tell me she's proud of me, but scared. At first, she absolutely didn't understand my decision at all. And I understand that because it's hard to put into words why I do what I do. I know what it's like to be a nurse that is drowning and needs help, and there's no one willing to put themselves in the line of fire. My mother is terrified. I talked to her today for the first time verbally since I've been here, and we both cried.
Eva, I just want to be clear. In your work before, you have seen death and people have died, but I'm assuming not anything like this.
No, nothing like this. Being an ICU nurse typically means we see the sickest of the sick and we help them get better. I mean, you throw yourself into every situation 110% with the goal of getting people better. Doesn't always work out. Usually, though, it's known end-of-life events. And that isn't the case here. the thought processes. Your brain is going 1,000 miles a minute. I've done this, this, and this. What can I do next? What haven't I tried? What am I missing? Is it just this? Is there a line kink? Is there a medication that we haven't tried? What am I missing? But then when everything just comes to a screeching halt and everything you've done has maxed out and is no longer working, and you release all of that last time you take off that gown and walk out of that room, and the gravity hits you that you're finished.
When you come away from work, how do you make sure that you and anybody else is not potentially contaminated?
I really don't run into anyone. When I get home, I come straight in. Sheila may or may not be in the downstairs apartment, and she'll usually stick her head out with her mask on and tell me good evening. Several times she's actually left home-cooked meals hanging on my door, which is a beautiful thing. And I walk in. I keep my shoes right by the door and everything. I shed everything right by the door. And as soon as I come to the end of the hallway, I have the washer and dryer. So everything goes straight in.
I have to tell you, like when you told me that this woman, Sheila, like is leaving you home cooked meals, I'm hoping that people in West Virginia hear that there are people in New York City with big hearts.
They actually donated this entire little apartment to me. I hate to use the word little, but to paint the picture, from what people back home are used to. It's one room, basically, with the kitchen and the living room, but it feels very roomy. Like, as a travel nurse, I've stayed in hotel after hotel after hotel, and this is hands down the nicest thing I've ever stayed in. But Sheila did not hesitate. She said, I'm not charging you anything. Thank you for coming to help. And I never, ever expected that, let alone home cooked meals. Every time they cook something, she brings it down to me, and they are wonderful cooks, I might add. From baked ziti to homemade matzo ball soup, and
wow,
it's been wonderful.
they're really rolling out the carpet for you.
They are wonderful, wonderful people.
Do you ever get afraid when you're doing work?
No, everybody asks me that, and absolutely not. This is what I do. I couldn't do my job if I was afraid. I mean, I had a little mini meltdown this morning talking to my little mom. She cried, and she made the mistake of asking me how my day was or how my days are. And I started to tell her, and yesterday was a particularly rough one for me. And, it was just a patient that I'd cared for several days in a row, and to see it all, I don't want to say to see it all be for nothing, because it definitely wasn't. It just doesn't make the end result any easier.
So what is it that you're doing to take care of yourself, to make sure that you can continue to still keep showing up to do this hard work?
I kind of come home and I mentally run myself through it. I have some nursing friends that, especially nurses who have helped care for the same patients, that I can talk to and say, this happened after you left at shift change. And, when you have that, it makes it a lot easier if you can talk about it.
Do you see any evidence of an us and them divide while you are on the front lines working with people who have COVID-19?
Oh, most definitely. I think in doing what's right for the patient. Well, during this pandemic, what's right for the patient absolutely may be wrong for the greater good of everyone else. And an example of that is the patient family coming to say goodbye. From a nursing standpoint, this is something I struggle with. From a nursing standpoint, absolutely not. They should not be there. They should not step foot in that hospital. They absolutely should not step foot in that room, because number one, and it's the only number that matters, I cannot provide them the proper PPE. The simple going in to say goodbye to your loved one, as important as that is, you are exposed and you are risking contaminating countless people, everyone that you come in contact with when you leave that room. And there are several nurses that work there that are saying this is ridiculous, they shouldn't be here. And I agree with them. But at the same time, I have to fight for the patient and the family and say that is their right. How can we not?
I'm just curious. You've been away from West Virginia for a little while. What is that you miss about your home in the Mountain State?
The fresh cut grass, the flowers, the trees. Oh, the trees. I guess all of the red bud is blooming. It may be finished now. Is it still going? There's none of that going on here. It's still actually pretty cold here. Um, but I miss mowing the grass. My dogs. I miss my dog for sure. My daughter's keeping him. I miss my kids.
You know, Eva, um, when this thing is all over with, and when New York gets back to something close to what it was before, I'd love to meet you in New York and kind of take you around and show you some of the parts that are kind of wonderful.
I would love to see it in its glory. Absolutely. You know, I can see the Empire State Building straight across from my ICU, and the Chrysler Building is to the right, and it's gorgeous. And there's so many other buildings that I can see, and I have a strong desire to just get on a city bike and go pedal around and see things up close. But then I think, what kind of example am I setting?
I remember I got on my bike after 9/11 and rode around the areas that I could ride. And at that time, like it is now, the streets were empty, and there was not much going on. But you definitely knew that what you were looking at was history, and it was something that you might want to tell your kids and your grandkids.
Definitely. And you know, funny you brought that up. I've talked to some New Yorkers who were here and on their way to work that day, 9/11, and they've given me their accounts. And I will have to say, the media that we saw back home, as devastating as it was, really missed an opportunity to get the heart and soul of it by talking to the people, or at least I didn't get to see those personal interviews of people who to this day are shook.
How do you feel like New Yorkers are holding up?
Half of them are on one side and half of them are on the other. You know, you still have your New Yorkers who are walking down the street with no mask, as if they're immune, not wearing a mask, hacking away, coughing, 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 and standing at a bus stop. But for the most part, the majority is following the rules, staying inside, wearing the mask. You know, the people that are walking, I recognize faces that I see every morning, probably going to a hospital nearby, just like myself. But everybody seems to be in good spirits. The 7 o'clock banging is pretty phenomenal, to see that spirit. You know what I mean? That strength.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because there's various friends there who I'll be talking to at around 7 o'clock, and they'll warn me at about 6:55. They'll say, "Let's continue our conversation, but I have to let you know that at 7 o'clock I'm going to be opening my window and and clapping and shouting," and it's kind of fun. It's fun just to hear somebody on their cell phone just woo.
I was outside. I had walked to the corner store one evening and I just wasn't paying attention to the time. I was taking in the sights. And then someone across the street started clapping, and I was like, what in the world? And then everybody started clapping, and Manny and Sheila were out front, and they started screaming my name, and boy, am I not used to that kind of attention. You run away and duck inside, but it is so humbling and amazing. I can't say that enough. It's some days it keeps you going.
Well, I just want to say this. As somebody who is from West Virginia and who also lives in New York, and who has kind of heard people in either place characterize, stereotype, and in many ways speak down to the people in those other places. I'm really proud of you for doing what you're doing and going across that us and them divide and really kind of understanding at a dire time really who the other side is. I'm really, really pleased and proud of you for doing that.
Well, thank
It
you.
just
Well,
it just
and I
makes me
will
feel
say I'm
great.
very proud of the New Yorkers. Every time I tell any of them that I'm from West Virginia, they start singing Country Roads. I can't tell you how many times that's been sung to me. Some of them know every single word, which is pretty impressive.
This is the 7 p.m. New Yorker moment that happens each day. There's applause, there are shouts, people bang pots and pans, car horns blare and honk, and it goes on for several minutes each night to honor the city's healthcare workers. It's a little like the way the city acknowledged and cheered for first responders, firefighters, and police after the 9/11 attacks. I lived in New York then and recall those spontaneous moments when we were all part of something huge. After the terror attacks, we came together to remake things. We met in parks and sang, holding hands. This time, our coming together has to be apart. This time, the virus makes us create a future together, alone.
In difficult times, music gives us peace, brings us together, and helps heal us. It calms our nerves and brightens our days. That's why we're bringing you classic episodes of Mountain Stage on air and in our podcast. This is Larry Gross, host of Mountain Stage. Find something that's familiar or brand new and feel the power of live music on our website, mountainstage.org.
You've been listening to Us and Them. Our team for this episode is me, Trey Kay, Kyle Vass, and Kate Smith. Michael Lipton and Tristan Lozow wrote and performed the Us and Them show music. Mark Lerner designed our logo, and Lelena Price helps us with images for the web. The wonderful people at PRX and West Virginia Public Broadcasting make Us and Them possible. So do grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the West Virginia Humanities Council, and the CRC Foundation. This episode is supported with a grant from the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation. Us and Them was originally developed with assistance from the mentorship program at AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio. We'll see you next time on Us and Them.
Support for this podcast comes from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.